Hello guys, God bless you, and thank you for checking in. Got a video coming out here from ukreloaded.com. We are going to be exploring a little bit around Starmer's surveillance states. Going to be covering that particular article, but also looking at this from a very sort of like different viewpoint. I want to explain to you a little bit about these individuals in the Labour government and them being a member of the Fabian Society. Going to be sharing with you guys literally what the Fabian Society is all around. So going to be covering that with you. This article does speak a lot around what's actually happening over here in the United Kingdom. But before that, guys, I just want to cover some other headlines of the day for us, just to keep us abreast of all of the crazy that is going on in the world. So here you go. Lloyd's of London scraps net zero policies. The new chief executive of Lloyd's of London has reversed the insurance market's net zero policies and given insurers a green light to cover fossil fuels. This pushback when it comes to net zero, we're seeing that being increased. Over in Israel, Israel attacks the Hamas leadership in Qatar. Israel is facing growing international pressure after attacking Hamas leadership in the capital of Qatar. The IDF confirmed on Tuesday that it had attacked the Hamas headquarters in Doha, saying they carried out the operation. And so Israel literally going after her enemies, as we're seeing. A little bit of a tongue-in-cheek sort of article coming out here. Headline: according to Justin Bieber, shape-shifting reptiles control Hollywood and harvest our energies. So some of you might think that's a little bit sort of like far out there, but there is videos of Albert Bourla, and he's kind of like doing some really weird things with some stuff, and other people's eyes seem to be sort of like, you know, breathing funny, or their tongues or whatever, just some very strange things. So according to Justin Bieber, he says the world you think you know is a lie. He claims that behind the velvet ropes and the flashing cameras, he's seen the truth. Music industry bosses and CEOs of global corporations are shape-shifting reptiles. Just leave that there with you. Continuing with more headlines coming out today, guys. Peer-reviewed study. Well, there you go. That's something that's been peer-reviewed, something scientific, not just fabricated or made up. Concludes RSV vaccines cause serious neurological damage. A bombshell peer-reviewed post-marketing analysis has exposed nearly 200 safety signals tied to Pfizer, GSK and Moderna's RSV vaccines, confirming the shops are wreaking havoc as the establishment desperately tries to bury the truth. This is why we still keep harping on about these vaccines, guys, because people are still being sort of like given them at birth, through pregnancy, in schools. The coercion, the manipulation of this continues. When you have, you know, sort of like Stargate with Trump and his 500 billion investment in mRNA, you know, vaccines, and then recently over here, the UK government pledging another £1 billion for vaccines, and the, you know, the sort of things that they're making and stirring the cauldron of in the backgrounds when it comes to the creation of other sort of like, you know, diseases and the like, ready to be unleashed upon humanity. It's important that when you get a peer-reviewed study, this is the science that they don't want you to be having. All right, they don't want you asking questions, which is what science is about, and they don't want you, you know, sort of like critically evaluating their work, which is a very integral part of science. Do we need to also go there when it comes to the ethics that are also like evaluated upon when you look at some of these findings? Interesting that they are causing neurological damage, etc., etc. We've been saying, guys, that, you know, the self-assembly nanotechnology that's in these jabs will literally set you up to the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies. You'll be a walking, talking sort of like Wi-Fi system, so that they can literally use that against you and track and trace and survey. We've also got videos on our channel. Please do see our video, Wait, What is in the vaccines when it comes to all of the other monstrous things and the knock-on effects that this also has, the sudden adult cancers and sudden adult deaths and supercharged cancers. I'm sorry, but we still need to speak out about this because people are being poisoned and they're being literally sterilized as we speak. Here, other findings saying that this also causes neurological damage. I'm not surprised when you get those swabs that are just shoved up people's nose so intrusively. Continuing with this, the FDA launches investigation into surge in child deaths following COVID vaccination. This is why we keep on doing this, guys, because we need to absolutely defecate these guys' reputations, the Pfizers, the Modernas, the Johnson & Johnson, etc., the Bill and Melinda Gates. We need to expose these individuals because it'll be these guys that will be coming out with the next potential, pandemic and all of the other vaccines that they'll be able to force upon people. And no doubt the mark of the beast will have their sort of like companies around that. And we need to make it so that people can understand. It's like, no, I remember what you did during the COVID years. I remember the forcing and the coercion and the manipulation and the tying up people's bank accounts and everything else that you did. And you shut down the whole world and you placed everybody on house arrest. I remember that. And I remember the fact that you opened strip joints and pubs and clubs, but you shut down churches. I remember that, and how you were lying and how you censored everybody that was asking the question, what is in these vaccines? I remember that. I don't trust you. You're not being forthcoming with any of your products. And actually, investigation into you a little bit further, we know that you are part of this said community or this said society that has a depopulation agenda. And you've got all of these guys literally coming out with that, have they not? Especially Bill Gates turning around and saying, oh, look, we can just reduce the population by 10 or 15%. And others as well we've been exposing. But apparently, for years, grieving families have been silenced while begging for answers about the sudden unexplained deaths of their healthy children after COVID-19 vaccinations. But now the FDA is forced to launch an intensive investigation. It's too late, isn't it? When you bypass all of these safety protocols, when you bypass everything else and you take away, the insurance liabilities, and then you say that you're not going to release these funding like some security packs for the next 70 odd years. It's too late by then, isn't it? Because people become sterilized. This is why we expose evil, guys. Ephesians 5:11. And that's why I wrote the post that I did yesterday, because so few are speaking up about this. Here, continuing with the UK, this sort of like ties into our particular video today that we're going to be looking at. The UK police told to ramp up arrests of citizens who say offensive things. After dozens of videos emerged over the weekend exposing Brits being offensive words and daring to wave their national flags, UK police have ramped up arrests of citizens for saying offensive things, signaling a tyrannical crackdown on free speech by the globalist regime. We are going to expose the globalist regime today in the UK and the Fabian Society. Okay, so that you guys can be aware of that. And when these guys are saying offensive words, they're not the usual words that you would associate as being a cuss. Listen to this. Following a viral footage of a man being arrested for simply calling someone a muppet, a second outrage unfolded when a British police officer was triggered by a man in a Union Jack t-shirt who called him a muppet, highlighting the escalating war on ordinary people as authorities enforce their woke agenda with brutal force. They care more about the tweets than they do actually children being injured and killed and murdered, and people being sprayed overhead with toxins and weaponizing the food and the water. Oh, but you go wearing a Union Jack t-shirt, or you go praying outside a particular place, or you go preaching on the streets in the name and the power of the Lord Jesus. Oh, you can be expected to be, arrested. Unbelievable. Infowars.com reports, I find that offensive. If you call me a Muppet again, I will arrest you. Calling me a Muppet is offensive, the pathetic policeman said. Wow. When the individual tried to tell the cop he was going to be famous for being so sensitive and threatening his arrest for such a minor detail, the officer grabbed his arm and placed him in handcuffs. Same thing they're doing when people turn around standing outside these particular places and saying, I like bacon. This is where it's come down to. And when we cover the actual article pertaining to Starmer's surveillance state, you'll understand how tyrannical this country really has become. But you'll also understand before that, after these headlines, guys, what the Fabian Society is all literally in and around. We've been telling you that as our channel, as a content creators, I cannot make any more videos. I cannot make them because of the software that's been put on my devices and all of my tech. I can't make them. I can't download, upload, screen record, save, share, or nothing. Okay, I can't do anything. And the platforms like Rumble or other places will not accept the videos coming from the UK, or at least mine, because I refuse to, bend over for the beast system and comply with its guidelines. I refuse point blank to. We are to honor God and obey God, not man. Really interesting, isn't it, how that's really affected us with this online safety bill. And look what's happening again soon when it comes to the online and policing bill, where it takes one of you guys to grasp me up and say, oh, I got upset by what Dan was talking about, and then I can get hurled into, some tribunal, and then they could sign a piece of paper, hand it to a judge, and poof, I'm in jail. Bye-bye. Lost my freedom. Indefinitely. Elsewhere in the UK, and filmed as he asked an officer why he was being arrested. It's the officer's job to turn around and explain why they're being arrested. The policeman bizarrely said, shh, talking, causing the detainee to ask, for what? Shh, talking, the officer said again. Shh, talking. I've got a slight mumble stammer. You're arresting me for talking? The stunned citizen asked, with the cop answering, for shh, talking. I don't understand you, the guy said. Shh, talking. The officer stated a final time. As British citizens watch their freedom of speech stripped away, another political battle has erupted over their right to fly national flags, such as the English St. George's Cross or the Union Jack. This is what we're saying about the Club of Rome literally wanting to take away all of these nations' individual autonomies and their sovereignties and their identities. All right. And this is part of that. And when you really find out in a moment what the Fabian Society is all about, you will understand all of this, and it'll be connected there for you. Highlighting what proud Brits are having to deal with is the story of RV, with pro-Palestinian graffiti on its side, sitting in a village for 6 months before being removed, with 72 hours after a red St. George's Cross was painted on the same vehicle. Seeing this on roundabouts that are being done at the moment when people are putting the St. George's flags. People want to be proud of all of that. They don't want their identity being taken out. They don't want the value system of this country to be watered down by foreign nationals. It expects and hopes that its government leaders will turn around and say, yeah, we really value the principles of this society, which is why you had Liz Truss and Gordon Brown and David Cameron, yeah, and Rishi Sunak, okay? And he had all of these guys literally turn around and say, no, we don't want a part of what you've got going on, beast system. We know exactly where this is literally heading. We do not like that. We do not want to be a part of it. But then you get literally the Fabian Marxist, who we're going to expose in a moment, in Keir Starmer, going to Davos 6 months before there was a general election, turning around and brown-nosing with a signal of intent, as he so said, that if you, sort of like get us in sort of a thing, we'll be a lot more compliant and we'll be a lot more sort of like, active when it comes to the World Demonic Forum. And lo and behold, look what happens when he gets put into office. Bam! All of a sudden, he comes out of all of these tyrannies. All of a sudden, he starts waging war on the farmers, on the fishing. And now what? You can't show a St. George's Cross or Union Jack flag being arrested for all of these sorts of things under the pretense of these online safety bills. So we are so going to expose the Fabian Society. It's been our great joy and our pleasure as a platform, as a channel family here, as part of the body of Christ, to expose evil, to expose the working of the Club of Rome. And now we're going to be doing that with the Fabian Society, because this will literally shock you. I think we'll leave that particular article headline there for today. But that just sort of like proves the point. Many know about the, sort of like lunacy of the police over here in the UK. Here we've got Sweden fully jabbed health minister pushing boosters collapse suddenly on live TV. Sweden's newly appointed health minister Elisabeth Lann shocked viewers after suddenly collapsing during a press conference, toppling to the floor along with the podium as she was introduced to her new post. Unbelievable, isn't it? Seeing this in so many different individuals. Please go over to our Rumble channel and see the Pfizer videos where you've got all of these presenters and news forecasters falling over because of it. And in most cases, dead. And that includes athletes. Some that you haven't heard of in the mainstream media, I very much doubt it, that the US military fires a Hellfire missile at a mysterious orb. It bounces off, leaving lawmakers stunned. The US military's most advanced weapons just failed in spectacular fashion against an unidentified object, an incident now raising new questions about what the Pentagon knows and why the public has been left in the dark. And we've got this 3-eye atlas here on its way as well, literally bouncing off it. That's a little bit troubling, isn't it? Continuing with other headlines, guys. Trump praises West Point for cancelling awards ceremony for evil Tom Hanks. Please see our video on Rumble relating to Tom Hanks and the paedophile that he literally is, sacrificing children. Him and his family have been doing this for generations after generations. We've all been sort of like, groomed by this guy, have we not, with the movies and the videos that he's made over the last couple of decades, but how sinister and how evil this particular individual really is, really pally with Obama. Continuing, going back to Israel, Netanyahu orders Gaza residents to leave as Israeli forces prepare for ground maneuver. And here we go. City of Rome seeks Italian families to host migrants free of charge. Rome City Council is looking for families willing to host migrants with valid resident permits in their homes for the next 3 years. Wow. Also seeing here, guys, Macron's government collapses. The French government has fallen following the ouster of Prime Minister Francois Bayrou by the National Assembly in a no-confidence vote. Bayrou is the second consecutive prime minister under President Emmanuel Macron to be ousted. Things are going to kick off in France. It always goes down. The French love kick it off, and God bless him for it. Because over here, all we do is just apologize for our own existence and queue. Some interesting articles coming out, headlines of the day there for you guys. We are going to be looking at the article coming out from the ukreloaded.com, Starmer's surveillance state. But before we get into that, in order to give us some understanding of a context, when we start speaking out and saying, well, Starmer, he's just a Fabian Marxist, you need to understand this secret society of the Fabians. So I would encourage you to go over to X or somewhere and go look up the Fabian Society. It is nothing more than a communist group that pushes an attack from within to destroy peoples not aligned with them. Is that not what they're doing when it comes to this self-destruct and sabotage that's happening in the UK? Their coat of arms, no joke, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I kid you not. All right. And I'm just going to flip this around so you can see this for yourself. Okay. This is their coat of arms. Okay, how proud of that they really truly are. So over half, okay, of the UK Labour cabinet in this country right here, right now, are Fabian Society members. Their symbol, as we've just shown you, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Its mission is gradual subversion of institutions towards state control and an end to private assets, i.e., you'll own nothing and be happy. The Fabian Society, they have a wolf in sheep's clothing, and this is on purpose. They are determined to kill off any kind of caring for your fellow human being. And then now you understand why it is when we cover Kim Ledbetter's, she's a Fabian Marxist as well, when she comes up with the euthanasia bill over here in the UK. Do you see the connects? Please don't underestimate the Fabian Society, especially the political element, the judicial element, and those close to children. The Fabian Society is a bourgeoisie organization dressed in red that seeks to demoralize the working class while pretending to represent it. This is what we're seeing, isn't it? The working class are the patriots, the salt of the earth, the backbone and spine of this country, that love their country, love showing and declaring how proud they are to be British, to have some of the values that we have over here in this nation. And so they're the first people group that are being targeted. It also pushes the Fabian Society for less individual human rights. Look at what we're seeing, guys. And an increase in authoritarian state power under the guise of social justice. So just like the online safety bill, it's all about, protecting children and, all of this absolute nonsense, because you're asking children to lose their identity, their privacy and confidentiality and autonomy by having to force them to give of their names and their addresses and their identifications. We're going to tap into that a little bit later, but it's an absolute lie. So we're seeing its strategy also is to slowly and cunningly infiltrate democracies and instill a socialist state run by bourgeoisie authoritarians dressed as the proletariat social justice warriors. Again, following on from, what is it, Mr. Klaus Schwab, and infiltrating governments, infiltrating, democracies. This leftist organization's duplicity is perfectly represented by its original coat of arms, the wolf in sheep's clothing. If you look at the key political figures on the left who are destroying democracies from within while simultaneously demoralizing the working class, you will discover that they probably belong to the Fabian Society. Well, we were talking about the whole fishing and talking about farming with all of the tax and waging war and all of that, by allowing, once infiltrated, Bill Gates over here to spray and poison and sterilize everybody, by causing this, continual woke ideology, confusing, young people and their minds and their developments with the alphabet people, making it possible for them to have, all of this gender altering surgery that's permanent. They don't care about children at all. This continues. The Fabian socialism, these are vile globalists who pompously feel entitled to remake and remold society. They don't serve the British people. They don't serve the countries that they are literally the guests of or whatever. They don't. Because if they really did, they'd be calling for a general election at the moment, because that's what the whole country's literally asking and begging and screaming out for. They don't care about it. They don't care about democracy and the people's voice and what they have to say about certain things. They won't even entertain it. And what's really interesting is that the video that I'll put in after this live, and I'll put it in the community post, you will see this arrogant Keir Starmer look at everybody in the entire country and just turn around and say, if you don't like what we're doing in this country with our policies and our agendas, the door's right there. You can leave. How arrogant is that? And that's what he's turned around and said. He does not care. He is such an evil individual, this Keir Starmer. And we've got photographs of him literally flipping off his hands with satanic sort of like gestures to his overlord. Got pictures of him and his, you know, the fellow sort of like prime minister and other people in his cabinet, all on one bended knee, doing the same thing, showing the beast system. Oh, look, man, we've infiltrated the UK politics. Here you go. We're going to pucker up and bend over, just like it says in Revelation 17:13, to give their power that they're taking away from everybody to the beast and handing it to him. We're seeing this here, guys. They are sociopathic totalitarians with no concern whatsoever for the damage caused. They don't care for the lives destroyed as they import third world, mostly military age, often hostile males into the country. Again, trying to stir up the hornet's nest, are they not? I mean, if it's not going to cause civil war with the working class and, you know, true Brits in that particular sense, then that's fine. We'll just use that as another tool to implement and misuse our digital ID and everything else that we've got going on. And if you really kick off too much back at us, then we're just going to put boots on the ground, just like they're doing in America for no reason. You see what they're literally doing here. And when these Muslims come over here, they do not implement into the society. They want their Sharia law. They want to literally infiltrate every aspect of that. And we're infidels, you know, as far as they're concerned. They do not want to participate and join in to what it means, you know, to be British, like my kin did generations and generations before, and still have done this generation still. Being grateful for the life that we have over here in the United Kingdom, serving in the armed forces. But these guys don't want to do that. They just want to claim their benefits. They just want to procreate and breed us out and change the entirety of this country and its identity. And it's being really helped out very well with these such said individuals, but it's also being helped out as well when you've got, you know, an illegitimate king on the throne, who is nothing more than a glorified Muslim anyway, defending faiths and not standing up for the Christian faith, the Christian values of this country. This is why I get the ump with my peers. It's because, come on, man, we need to be speaking out against these tyrannies and this evil collectively, not turning a blind eye, not choosing the path of least resistance. That's the reason why all of this has all happened, because we've said and done nothing. We haven't stood up against it. So this beast system has become more emboldened as the church said, yeah, man, we'll just shut our doors. No. We should not have never have done that. This continues. They not only turn a blind eye to the victims of their native population, but aggressively pursue and punish in a way that would make George Orwell's head spin anyone who speaks out about the blatant injustice being inflicted upon them. And this is what they're doing as well, isn't it? Ushering up all of these sort of like, you know, Muslims that come over and abuse children, how violent they are towards women, how they do have terrorist ideologies. They don't want to be a part of British society. They want whatever land that they've come for to be on this soil. It's infiltration worldwide. Please see our video the other day exposing Islam. This continues. They are repulsive and evil to the core. We're talking about the Fabian society here, but you can add that to Islam as well. Think of it as the European version of Cloward and Piven overwhelm the system until it collapses, which is what they're basically allowing to happen. But much more nefarious, the Fabian Society in the UK has as their stated goal to destroy the country. Do you know what I mean? When you have this as your mission objective, and you have, you know, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and these are a bunch of Fabian Marxists, come on. And via the Blair Institute, Sana Marine got bought by it. For example, they spread their cancer over Europe. The Fabian Society is an old group originating in England in 1884, only 100 years later, do you know what I mean? With Orwell, with the tyrannical purpose of forming a single global socialist state. So, what is staggering is how many people in the UK have now suddenly woken up to the satanic, corrupt systems running through our country. Fabian Society driven politicians that hate children, hate Britain, and are so demented, evil, and completely exposed that it makes you shudder how we have let them get away with it, all their demonic evil, for so long. You will see nothing about it in the mainstream media. We, the people, are now the ones fighting these deviant political tyrants, as well as the police, judges, and fraudulent justice systems, the corruptions, and the whole fake establishment, has been stacked against us for many years. So remember this. They killed your parents and grandparents. They injected most of the people with harmful bioweapons. They tied us all up to a fake tax and debt control system. And this is what they do when they give you on sort of like, April the 1st, a whole new council tax bill. Mine's £1,600 and I live on my own, instantly putting you into debt for a whole year. And I don't want to be in anyone's debt. I work really hard to pay off my student loans and everything of that sort. I don't want to be in debt. And what's so interesting is because I'm not in debt and I don't have a credit card because I don't want to owe anybody any money, is that my credit score is absolutely down the toilet. I can't use it. Whereas surely those people that aren't in debt should have their credit score ratings excelled and increased. But you see how sick the system really is? This continues. They poisoned your food and the water. They trafficked and murdered your children. Since you were born, they have controlled your life, harmed you with drugs and chemicals, and hid the truth from you. This is the United Kingdom. At this point, everything in our history is just a lie. Now they are filling the country with backward, violent, and dangerous men that every day are attacking our culture, our families, our children, and our way of life. Many are soldiers brought in for when the shit really hits the fan. They are supported by the corrupt corporate police, who are owned and paid for by companies like Serco, whose biggest shareholder is the Crown. No one will save us. We can only save ourselves. General Flynn, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump have been highlighting their crimes and exposing their evil. And now we need a military presence to prevent a civil war and remove their bloodthirsty attempts to bring about more chaos and tyranny. They have purposefully collapsed the financial system and destroyed all our lives and the hopes and futures of our children to enable their great reset. But we need to be having our great resist, an agenda created years ago to transfer away all the wealth and power from us. And say that again. An agenda created years ago to transfer away all the wealth and power from us. Revelation 17:13. All of one mind to give their power to the beast. Where do you think they got it there from now? Anyone defending politicians in particular, Labour is a paid, funded and captured deviant. The rest is gaslighted by weak men and soulless traitors. They need to be held up for being the traitors that they truly are to the Crown, to the country, to the people that they profess they serve. There is no opinion, no alternative, only good versus evil. It is that simple. This September will be rife with distractions. They will attempt more false flags, maybe even a terrorist attack, just to distract you from what is happening. This is what I'm personally waiting for, is their false flag event, their black swan, to justify more tyranny, more boots on the ground, digital ID, more vaccines, more stop and search, and give the police even more sweeping powers that no one really knows what they are. Just like to tell you something here that many of you might not know, that there are 141 Fabians in the government at the moment. Fabian socialists, along with the elitist grand designers in Davos and Brussels, are Machiavellian deceivers. They cloak their totalitarianism under the guise of helping humanity with their 17 sustainable and inclusive goals, while intending to reshape society, according to their vision, which has them and other self-anointed tyrants at the helm. The chaos and destruction are a necessary stage for them. They see humanity as livestock. They are nefarious, cunning, and relentless. Socialism is being slipped into our societies like a slow drip poison. This is the Fabian society, determined on reshaping, destroying Britain slowly. Think of the Fabian society as a Trojan horse for control. One size fits all, and it's all for your own good, they say. The Labour Party are evil. They're members of the Fabian society. They are nothing more than satanic deceivers and manipulators who believe that the ends justifies the means. As we've said, their logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing, denoting their willingness to do anything to achieve their goals. Did you also know that Keir Starmer was given £30,000 from the Fabian Society as part of his election bid, as well as others? After 140 years of its existence, the Brits are finally talking about the Fabian Society and their global goal of control, gradual and intentional destruction of nation states to bring about their utopia. And now you see what they're trying to do to the UK so that we don't have the identity and that we can go and rejoin Brexit. The Fabians are yet another front for the Luciferian cult oligarchy families. The old nobility never faded away. They just got exceedingly clever about disguising themselves and hiding what they were doing to get their power back. They still loot the peasants, only they use political frontmen for it now. The Fabian Society are pure and utter evil. Sadiq Khan is an executive member, so is Keir Starmer. Every member bar one of the Tony Blair cabinet was a Fabian, including the late Sir Jeremy Hayward, head of civil service. The Fabian Society, the masters of subversion unmasked. So, who are these Fabian Marxists? Keir Starmer. He is a member of the Fabian Society. Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London. Wes Streeting, Labour MP and Health Secretary, disclosed Fabian Society membership. Rachel Reeves, Labour MP and Chancellor of the Exchequer, is a disclosed member. Catherine West, Labour MP and Housing Minister, is also a member. Lucy Powell, Labour MP and Leader of the House, are also members. David Lammy, Labour MP and Foreign Secretary, also a member. Ed Miliband, Labour MP and former Labour leader, also a member. Yvette Cooper, Labour MP and Home Secretary. Stella Creasy, Labour MP. Lord Dubs, Labour peer, Fabian Society Vice President. Kate Green, former Labour MP, Fabian Society Vice President. The prime Marxist Keir Starmer and his sidekick Rayner are Marxist Fabian Society devotees. They pretend to be socialists, but they are not. They are cunning, deceitful, and evil, and about to bring in digital ID to control what you spend, as well as all other areas of your and your kids' lives. They are more evil than anyone could ever possibly imagine. God bless each one of you guys. Thank you for being here with us today. Appreciate you. So let's take a little look there now. Now we've exposed this secret society that they're all a part of. This ought to set off national security alerts, should it not? Just like when, Schwab turns around and says we've infiltrated all of these governments, surely that would be a conflict of interest. If I was like, I'd be like, nah, man, you're fired. You do not have the British people's interest at heart. You have the Fabian Society's interest at heart. You have the Club of Rome's, interest, or the Bilderbergs. Please do see our post from yesterday when it comes to that particular, exposing of these societies and all of their, exercises that they've done relating to this. So let's talk about Starmer's surveillance state, shall we? Keir Starmer's casual announcement about digital ID cards should concern every British citizen. What he frames as a simple immigration control measure, come on, is part of a surveillance state that would make George Orwell weep. And we've already got it. It's called Brick Card, fam. The Prime Minister insists that things have moved on since Tony Blair's failed ID scheme, and he's quite right, but it's towards something far worse. Digital identity systems don't just verify you who you are, but can be used to track everything you do. Every purchase, every journey, and every interaction with government service gets logged, stored, and analyzed. This is what they've got with all of these technologies that they're giving out as well, with all of these AI apps that they have. And everyone's like, oh, wow, it's great. I can create a nice video. I can create a nice thumbnail. And it's like, yeah, but did you really read what was below that? Go into your settings, go into the app and see what it really also says about this app will track and trace and survey and release your information and data. But no one wants to listen into that. They just fall for the dangling carrot, don't they? What begins as immigration enforcement inevitably becomes universal monitoring. It's purposeful, it's deliberate. The pattern is depressingly predictable. Governments often introduce intrusive systems by targeting unpopular groups first. Illegal immigrants today benefit claimants tomorrow, and then everybody else. That's going to be the order. Each expansion feels reasonable in isolation, but when viewed together, it forms a cage. And by the time the majority notice the bars, the lock has already clicked shut. China offers the clearest warning of where this leads. Excuse me. Their social credit system began modestly enough, tracking financial behavior and court judgments. Now it monitors everything from jaywalking to online comments. Citizens with low scores can't buy train tickets, can't buy or book hotels, or send their children to good schools. It's behavioral control disguised as a public service. The Chinese model isn't some distant dystopian fantasy. It's an operational reality affecting 1.4 billion people. Their digital ID system feeds directly into social credit algorithms, one database with infinite applications, and the infrastructure that Starmer proposes would create the same foundation here. Look at what they do with this reward and punishment, when it comes to social credit scores and systems. You speak out about the beast, you can have your lives stolen, you can have your views, and they'll suppress your work. You won't be able to get anywhere with it because you stand up and you oppose the beast system. But if you go obeying the beast system and abiding by its rules and its regulations, expect fruits, expect blessings. But at what expense? Western democracies aren't immune to this mission creep. Canada's digital ID pilots began with healthcare access, but expanded rapidly during COVID-19. Citizens found themselves locked out of essential services without proper digital credentials. Australia's MyGov system, initially for tax and benefits, now manages everything from university applications to vaccine certificates. Even ostensibly democratic governments can't resist the temptation to expand surveillance systems once they exist. The infrastructure is too powerful, the data too valuable, and the leverage too seductive. The more they monitor the masses, the easier it is to manage the masses, and the easier it is to preempt dissent and shape society according to their designs. Through Britain's proposed digital currency, central bank digital currency, or CBDC for short, would give authorities complete visibility into every transaction. Combined with digital ID, programmable cash would allow governments not only to see what you spend, but to decide how you spend it. Buy the wrong book, visit the wrong website, or donate to the wrong cause, and every choice could be flagged, frozen, or forbidden. What begins as convenience ends as control. Seeing how this is all grooming the masses for the mark of the beast. The power to freeze accounts becomes the power to destroy lives. We've already seen this with Canadian truckers during the Freedom Convoy protests. Their bank accounts were frozen without trial, and their livelihoods jeopardized by bureaucratic decree. Cash provides anonymity and independence. The transition from one to the other isn't technological evolution, but the end of financial privacy. And look what they just did. That's a prime example of why people need to be away from this technology. They do not have this technology going in under their skin. If this is what they can do to it externally, can you imagine what they can do to internally? And they want to start spying on your emotions and your behaviors and your feelings and your thoughts and your every action. Do you really want to give them this power? Look at how much of a bad and evil and demonic steward they are with our devices, with our technology at the moment. Starmer claims that public attitudes towards digital IDs have changed since Blair's era. No Brit wants it. Do not listen to these liars. Polls suggest, oh please, you can make that up yourself, that 57% of Britons support national ID cards. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. It was the same thing when Trump tried to turn around and trying to convince Canadians that they'd love to be the 51st state. They did all these polls. Oh, polls suggest. Really? Really? Oh, yeah, Greenland are quite happy to be a part of America. Forget Denmark. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Brits would love to rejoin the European Union instead of us giving them billions of pounds for them to misplace it and steal it from us, and we suffer as a result. Yeah, we'd love to be a part of that. They're absolute liars with these statisticians. Please. Polls suggest 57% of Britons support national ID cards, but support built on ignorance isn't meaningful consent. Most people don't understand what they're endorsing for a start. They imagine a simple digital version of a driver's license. The reality is a comprehensive tracking system that monitors their entire existence. And the same polls show massive concerns about data security, and implementation. Concerns that are entirely justified. The people will fall for the dangling carrot, will they not? This is why it's so important to also, name drop these individuals like, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos with the brain chip, Elon Musk with Neuralink, Sam Altman as well, and Peter Thiel. It's important that we name drop these individuals, as well as, you know, sort of Mark Zuckerberg and the like, these tech giants, because they're all gearing up for investment into the mark of the beast technology. And they'll have the dangling perks when it comes to the tech and all of that sort of like social media, and you can do all of this with it all, and the masses will fall for it. And they won't realize that these chips will come with all of the tracking. It will have all of these kill switch abilities, start messing with your organs, that they can remotely sort of like do that. Britain's cybersecurity record is abysmal. So yeah, I'd love to give you more of my data. Can I please? The NHS has suffered repeated breaches. Government departments routinely lose laptops containing sensitive data. Thanks. And local councils leave databases exposed online. And this is it. They had all of these censuses, and if you didn't give them your information and your data, yeah, you're fined £1,000. I never filled it in. You know, you ain't having none of that off me. None of your business, man, what my religion is. No business about my sexuality or my children or my preferences or where I was born and what I like and what I don't like. No chance. And then they lie to us, saying, "Oh, it's all going to be put somewhere in some department safe for another 10 years or whatnot." Absolute nonsense. That's been used against you. This is why all of this AI and all of this other sort of like predictive model wants to get to know you, you know, based upon your previous search, or recommended for you, or like my stupid devices that will turn around and start telling me what it is that I need to feed my guinea pigs and when. Oh, you must be running quite low. Quit trying to know me, you needy Klingon. I don't want to know you or have a relationship with AI or technology, please. Absolutely awful. So we really want to trust these individuals with our data and our information. So you can imagine what they've done with the external bits when it comes to our phone and our devices. Look how many times I've been hacked. I've money stolen out of my account. All right. I've also got people impersonating me still on Telegram. Some dude still out there with my name on it, and people are still a part of the group. And I left about a year ago, you know, still doing all of that. People still stealing my identity and everything else. And we're really going to trust these people? We're putting that in under our skin as well. These are the institutions that Starmer wants us to trust with everybody's biometric information. Data breaches aren't minor inconveniences when they involve biometric data. You can start cutting off hands and whatnot and start taking out people's eyeballs next. You know what I mean? None of it's safe because they're really bad stewards of this information. And where does it all go? To a big, massive supercomputer called the Beast. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'd love to participate. Sign me up, bruv. You can change your password or cancel your credit card, but you can't change your fingerprint or facial features. Once biometric data is stolen, the theft is permanent. Imagine being locked out of your bank account because a criminal is using your face to get in. Or being denied access to services because your fingerprint matches someone on a watch list. The victim is compromised forever. See where this whole transhumanism is going? The UK government lacks both the competence in every way, shape and form to secure such systems and the restraint to limit their use. Every database becomes a honeypot for criminals and a tool for authoritarians. The bigger the database, the bigger the targets, and the worse the eventual breach. Digital ID also enables perfect discrimination. Algorithms can identify and exclude people based on any criteria programmers choose, aka community guidelines. Race, religion, political views, and sexual orientation can all become grounds for automated exclusion. Britons should reject the digital ID, not because they oppose immigration enforcement, but because they value their freedom. And what left of it we have. Some conveniences cost too much. Some securities aren't worth the price, and some So-called modernizations lead not forward, but back into bondage. I'd like to take us to some scripture, if I may. Proverbs 10:9. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. I'm talking about all this convenience. Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. With these smooth talking Fabian Marxists in office, this one's for them. Psalm 52:2. Your tongue plots destruction like a razor, you worker of deceit. We come back to this again, don't we, guys? Back here we go. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. James 1:22. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. And this is what these Fabian Luciferians have no doubt as part of their sort of like, stuck on some mug. Here we go. John 8:44. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. There we go, guys. It's a really important, excuse me, scripture for us. Hello. Hi, Alison. Bless you. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for being here. Hi, Trent. Good evening. Oh, bless you, mate, for staying up so late. It's Wednesday 10th at 8 p.m. on Melbourne, Australia. G'day, mate. And I'm listening, keeping up the good work. God bless 100% everyone watches this. Oh, bless you. Thank you for your kindness to us as a channel. Thank you, mate. God bless you. Australians are having it bad, man. I'm telling you. If you haven't sort of like, subbed to Rebel News, they're really great at sort of like exposing what goes on down under. Really great news resource. Hi there, no names. Bless you. Good to see you. Thank you for putting our Rumble channel up there, Sherry. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Dean. Hi, Dean. Bless you. Yeah, say no to digital ID. Once that bad boy comes in, there's no undoing any of this. You can't, control, alt, and delete it. It's done. You're done. We cannot allow them to have this sort of like foothold that becomes a stronghold over our lives. With what freedoms we have. There's no necessity for them to be knowing about this. They want to tie everything up to things being digital so they can control that. All the external versions of the mark of the beast, and the actual mark of the beast is gathering dust somewhere, waiting for our departure. So yeah, no to digital IDs, no matter what it takes. If you've got to go without a few things, then do so as well. Hi, Mike. Bless you. Much love to you, mate. Oh, thank you, Mike, mate. We're not going to get anywhere with this. Like we've been saying, the algorithms, and it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Shadow banning, stealing our views, so that people come along and think, oh, that looks a bit crap. Don't want to be watching that. And then when you go into it, it says like, 100 an hour and 41 minutes, and yet they only give you 31 minutes of it. It's like, where has the last 70 minutes and 10 seconds gone from our life? Literally just stole it. Why? Because they serve the father of lies. There's nothing but a thief, liar, and murderer. So there's none of that. And that's why I put the post up yesterday, because it's really important with the time that we've got left to be real Bereans around this, to be really brave and bold and courageous, not avoidant or cowardly. We have to model and mirror to those that are going to be left behind what it means to stand up to this beast system and say no. How are we leading by example? How are we really blessing other people if we are avoiding evil? If we really are going to be avoiding, and being a little bit sort of like vague and hesitant with our adversary, then we can expect to get taken out by it. That's why I put that in there, because that was a charge. That was a locker room charge to my peers. And they can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter none. And I felt a little bit bad about putting it out there. And a few people were like, "Are you okay, Dan? Are you okay?" Very sort of like genuinely around it. It's like, no, people need to understand. And then someone come in with a really great comment, and I had to pin it because it was like, okay, you said that better than I did. But no, we're not going to be like that, because we don't bend over to the beast system. We won't. It's not our job to do so. We cannot do this to evil and allow it to override us. It's because of the church's silence that our enemy has become so emboldened. So when you get people like TOL, and you get Peter and Laurie and God's Lamb Down Under, just those three guys that have really supported us, okay, and promoted us over the years, they've been consistent with it. They took a big risk as well with the fruit bowls that they were given in recommending us and being supportive of us, because they could also get a little bit of shadow banning and blacklisting. And I know for a fact that Peter and Laurie at Prophetic Watchman 88 have been stung and slapped down big style for their affiliation to us as well. This is how the system works. But no, they showed valor and courage and selflessness when they generously did that to us. And we as a channel will not forget it. I will never forget their kindness. And that's not a plug to other people to be doing that. But there are some that are out there that literally sit back with behind there. They've got like awards of all of this. At what expense? Did you speak out about the vaccine? Are you speaking out against what's happening right now with it still? Are you speaking out against the poisoning and the weaponizing of everything? And don't go telling me that it's just down to a few individual people to be doing this, because this is what I've been talking about when it comes to the army mentality. Every single soldier will do basic training. They'll learn how to shoot. They'll learn how to march. They know the basics. But then they have their specialisms. So if their specialism is like maybe, a pilot, or in the Watchman's case, like Israel or timelines or whatever, that's fine. You focus in on that. But you're also there to perform the duties pertaining to exposing evil. And when these individual platforms are entrusted with gigantonormous audiences, it breaks my heart that they are not doing those particularly any justice whatsoever. We've got to speak up. And if that makes me look really unpopular, so be that. So be that. It's not okay that we turn a blind eye to evil. And I just find it hilarious, isn't it? Like as a therapist, if I'm counseling someone and there's child sexual abuse or whatever, I'm sort of like legally and professionally obligated to report that. What's the difference between me and doing this on the wall? I'm a watchman. I take that really, really anally serious when it comes to Ezekiel 33 and sounding the alarm. I see everything that's going on and I report it. And I ask the Lord every morning, what do you want me to go on? There's so much, Lord. This is what I want you to look at. And sometimes it's not nice when you're looking at child, abductions and sex trafficking and the pedophiles and all of the darkness. It's not nice looking at all of that. But God trained me to be a therapist for this very, very reason. So my window of tolerance could hack it. So I had the lifestyle where I was, trained hard so that I can fight easy now, because this is an easy fight. But we need to be more collective, because our enemy is collective. Our enemy is all from the same page, all of one mind. We're not. We can't be. There's too much of self going out there. So easy to find it to be offended, but not actually have that as a motivation. We have from now until then, before our works, which we covered the other day, get wheeled out, and the Lord knows our real agenda and our real motive. So when you see these channels that have 50, 60, over to 100,000, that's okay. But are you look at what you've been entrusted with, and look at what happened if you've spoken about half of what we've done since we've been back to YouTube. Imagine how many people you might have blessed and how many people that you might have woken up. How much is actually on their heads for remaining silent about the vaccines? Well, we've evidenced that by having 6 channels taken down from YouTube, because we refused to be silent. And we once had 12,000, but the truth was far more important than the apparent, element of fruits. We have to speak up and we have to speak out. And when I've really struggled with that, because I've got a sense of injustice and right and wrong, the Lord just says, no, Dan, go and look back at Ezekiel. Go back to Ezekiel 2 and see what that has to say. It says, speak, whether they listen or whether they don't listen. So I'm going to speak, and I'm going to put that in a community post to my peers, because that's what Jesus really thinks about avoidance and cowardice. I'm doing them a favor by pointing that out. And if we haven't modeled that, then call us a hypocrite and call us out. Please do. If there's a subject matter that we haven't addressed, either in our videos on Rumble, or what was once on Telegram, or what's here right now, I'd encourage you to do that. And we're talking about the misallocation of fruit that the enemy loves to hand out to Christian channels. We have 918 videos on Rumble, 918. And the views to all 918 is just over 50,000. And yet you'll get some of these channels over here for like a 10-minute video will get 70, 80. So there's parts of me where I have to confess I am jealous about that. But there's a much greater part that just says that we have to be doing a better job in exposing the evil. Look at what we're trying to do with what little that we have. And it's not because of our efforts. So that's why it's important that we are collective. Do we speak out about these things? And these guys see the same things that I see. They go to the same sources when it comes to Rapture Ready. They know the sources that I read out to you, UK Reloaded and the People's Voice. They don't go there, though. That's why I get upset with those that just primarily focus upon Israel and Israel alone. Because, like, really, are you really doing Israel the real justice, or are you just, misusing her for fruit? And the God can judge me, and he can judge my heart. He knows my motives. It's not here to cause dissent amongst the ranks. It's to motivate us to be doing a better job in exposing this beast system that is going to be murdering billions when we depart. And I care about that, because we get to model and mirror right here, right now, what we did in standing up against it. We experienced loss. We experienced all of the other attacks because of it. And maybe that might embolden some people not to take this mark, not to bow down and worship to this beast, but to turn around and dig in their heels and say, no, I'm going to put my faith and my trust in God. And we're going to obey God rather than man or the beast system's rules and guidelines. It's important that we do that. Not everyone agrees with that, or me, it's fine. I don't understand anyone that can avoid that. If I see someone being beaten up, I'm going to intervene. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to try and stop it. I can't just walk away from what I'm shown. I can't. I'm not wired like that. And I cannot understand anybody, Good Samaritan style, that can walk past what's been going on. Or that's just me. And God can deal with me as he so sees fit. Hi there, Sylvia. Bless you. Yeah, Sylvia's saying here, Dan, it concerns your brothers and sisters over here for you and all others over there. We also know that since it is over there and it's also over here, we don't fear, but we don't agree with. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, this is what's happening. This is the state of the country. But this is also what happens when you get these individuals in these particular places of authority and responsibility, when they have really misguided, sort of like loyalties. They serve the beast system. They're part of these awful demonic cults. So it's understandable that they're going to do their master's bidding, isn't it? Is it not? We serve Jesus Christ and we want to expose evil. I'm imperfect. Okay, I can't apologize for being a warrior. I won't. Or a lion or an alpha male. I cannot. I will never. And I'm aware I come across as being whatever, arrogant, bold, brash, thoughtless, senseless, insensitive. I know that. But I'm on a wall for you, my brothers and sisters. And who would you prefer? A little putty cat or a lion on that wall roaring as well? But we've all got it in each of our nations, because these are literally, like we've been saying, all of one mind. It is very concerning over here in the UK. We are going to get to a point here, guys, very, very soon, if we do not go out this year, where me especially will be locked up and they'll throw away the key. And then they'll start making examples of Christians as well. I'm telling you that right now. That's what awaits us as the church over here in the UK, especially channels like ours. The old Bill has got enough on me right now to throw me away for decades for what I've exposed. But what does the Bible say? That when you get hurled into court, the Holy Spirit will give you the words to speak. That's where we're heading. But what did the Apostle Peter turn around and said after he took a beating, and a hammering and was thrown into jail? Turn around and say, "No, we must obey God and not man." And that's exactly our thought right now. We don't abide by the beast system. We try and trailblaze and lead by example, as Christ says for us to do. That city on a hill, that they may see your good works. It's not always pretty. Hi there, Radioactive. Hello, mate. Hi, Lee. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Ashley, for being so generous and welcoming of people. Ashley and our Share and our Megan as well. They do a great job of compensating for my rudeness and my wide-elbowed approach. But guys, if you knew my heart, you'd be like, oh, he's a soppy git, really. Because I am. But I roar when I'm on the wall because that's my job. Yeah, staff saying here, hi, bless you. So ready for Jesus to come for us. This world is rotting. Yeah, I saw the video from Dr. Barry Orr the other day, which was a really good video. And I think also there's another new video from Joshua as well with the two twins, a new one out on their channel, I think. So looking forward to seeing that this afternoon. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm praying. I'm like, oh, come on, Lord. Come on, man. It's a case of, Lord, if you don't come back, there's going to be none of us left, right? Because of this Depop agenda. But if you keep me on the wall for much longer, Lord, I'm going to offend so many people that there'll be no one about. So you got to, just put me out of my misery. One way or t'other. I don't mind now. Yeah, we are ready for the Lord to come. Yeah, the beast needs the name to steal. Yeah. The legal person, Dan, it is key to know. I got my sister for that. She's the judge. Although she probably have a go at me. It's like, dude, I don't agree with what you're coming out with. I'm going to throw you in myself. She'll be the one that'll be signing my ass away. Do you know what I mean? With pleasure. Thanks, sis. No, she went down. She kicked down doors for me. I know she would. Hi, staff saying that's why I watch you as well, bro. You're just sounding the alarm the best you can. I think. Oh, thank you. All glory to the King. I know I'm not easy, guys. I know I'm really not. But here we have to just. You have to understand my heart, and that's why I was like saying yesterday. Like, I don't get it. I didn't get this, and you don't get me. I'm not mean. I'm not aggressive. I'm not violent. I don't shout at people. I'm just not like that. I barely raise my voice, other when I'm here and I'm told to. And I hate being in front of the camera. And it's like, that's why I go and pray. I'm like, Lord, I stitched myself up, man. Totally did. Why can't I just be hiding behind the camera anymore? It's got, no, man, because you guys need to see what's going on. Who's staying to collect the rest of the flock? Yeah. Well, like the shepherd said, man, we need to get the flock out of here, do we not? Yeah. Oh, bless you, Sylvia. Yeah, my experience, most don't want to listen. It's heartbreaking. No, in some cases they don't. I don't understand that. I love you guys. I don't know you, and I don't even like people. I'm being honest, right? But I have a heart enough for you because the Lord's in me to say I care about telling you the information that we've covered today. And if you're a Brit in this country, it's really important that you know who's governing over you. Okay, it's really important when these guys are also spread all over Europe. Okay, that's really important that you speak out about these things. If I was genuinely on a castle wall, all right, and then I saw all of this, like, massive, like, giants and, all of this sort of like armory, whatever, and it was coming towards me, and I said nothing, and I just like, I'll report a little matey boy down there and focus on that and ignore all of this, and then that overtook and overrun Black Arrow, sort of like my wall or my tower thing, and then got into you lot and took all you out. How on earth do you think God's going to be with me when I'm standing before him? I would rather be judged for being a mouthy git, okay, and being a bit OTT than being like, you know, like my nan used to say, you a man or a mouse? You know, by being a little pipsqueak and being avoidant and, oh, it's a bit scary. It's like, no, you've got to look into the darkness and you've got to stare it back and say, no. It is heartbreaking that we don't do some of that. And not everyone's called to do it, but I believe that they are actually. I believe it's a part of their existing ministries, especially when they're entrusted with that. Just imagine if we'd all been together through the COVID years and everyone was taking the hits together. It's like, no, we ain't saying something about it. And we all were literally banging on about it. Imagine what that might have done. What a message that might have said. You can imagine how many people might have been spared from taking that. And nothing's changed from then to now. Still same sort of evils going on. They're still seeing what I'm seeing overhead. So when I say, oh, right, so-and-so is doing a video, I know exactly where they got that news resource from. I don't even have to go and look at the description box. So I know, so I've looked at it myself already in the morning. And you guys in America wake up later than we do. So I know exactly where it is. And I've covered some of the things in Rapture Ready as well. There is a little bit out there when we talk about vaccines and other things, and they've been avoided by others. That's a shame. And if that doesn't give my peers a kick in the pants, I don't care. I've done it, and I've done it once, and then that's it. We don't need to say no more. But it's not okay. It is heartbreaking. Hi, Stephen. Bless you, mate. Yeah, Staff said, I feel like the world is tipping into chaos because of the cancerous Islam spreading. Absolutely. It's all gearing up for the Noahide laws. That's what it's all about. Chris Larman. So this is what I get when I go on my prayer walls, sprayed overhead with chest infections. Like, really? Wow. Can't wait for God to slap them down during the trip. Absolutely. Probably bad of me to say, but Islam needs to go. It's not bad of you to say. Absolutely, it's a false religion. Do you know what I mean? Really? You know, sort of like, you know, what does the Bible say about if you have another gospel, or even if an angel was to speak to you? Well, that's what happened with, you know, Muhammad in the cave, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? The paedophile that he is. You know, it's not at all. It's the most dangerous religion on the world. It's rising too fast. Yeah, my circle thinks I'm nuts the way looking up. Oh well, no, we're not nuts. We got our blessed hope. But it is, isn't it not? You know, the cross is foolishness as well. Does it not say? Yeah, exactly. That's what we've got to do, Sylvia. We've got to shout it out. You know, and honestly, right? And you guys be my witness later when we're in heaven. Right? If we're in a meeting or something like that, you wouldn't even know I was in the room. You never hear from me. You never see it. Nothing. I don't say nothing. I am the most quietest person in that room. Everybody else would be like doing whatever. But if you come out with some crap, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'll stand up and I'll kick off. Yeah. Or if people want to ask my opinion, then I'll tell them, and then people end up listening. But when it comes to here, I can't shut up because the Lord does something with me. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know what it is. It's like a fire in me that just burns so brightly when it comes to these particular things. And I get really angry about these things in my own life. So when I'm out praying, Lord, give me new wineskin, give me new oil. Let me see things as you see them. Let me feel as you feel these things. That's what I get given. Now, I agree I'm a bad steward of how I can word that. Some of y'all might be better at negotiating some of that. But I'm not being paid to be sort of like, you know, dialed down. I'm not being paid at all. So it's really important that I speak and I'm as loud as I possibly can. And pray tell that you understand my heart and you understand how it is and why we do what we do as a ministry here. And then let it be on their conscience if they want to stay silent. Let it be on them. And that's between them and God. But personally, as a peer, I would in any locker room saying, come on, man, we can take them. Let's do this, yeah? And I'd be rallying the troops. That is what the post was yesterday, and that's how we roll. Yeah, exactly, Sylvia, saying about the the bugs that are being sprayed, and so many of those also being reduced as well with Gates's mosquitoes and using those as vaccinators. The chemtrails overhead. Oh, Cher saying, yeah, you want to see the jump out of bed when the foghorns from the feeders let loose and a foggy morning, and then the disappointment when it wasn't a trumpet. I get that with that stupid train. I've got a train track about half a mile away, and it echoes in the valley. Yeah, and sometimes it'll do more than just one or two, and I know it ain't it, but just for a little bit in my head, I'm like, oof. Or I see some beautiful clouds out that aren't sort of like chemtrailed, and I think, oh come on, Lord, you want to, Yeah, chemtrails, exactly. We covered that, and that's what I'm talking about, guys. Please do go and see the video that had 1 hour 41 seconds when it came to the WEF and the 14 nations signing up to the chemtrail treaty. You weren't able to see that because they cut it all out. All right, but they didn't win there now because the article's still in the description box. And then we also hit them up with another 10 pictures and memes and evidence articles, and there was over a dozen other videos on that bad boy subject. Thank you, Lord. So today, guys, we've covered, the Fabian Marxists. You explained what those guys are and what they're all about. You've also looked at Starmer's surveillance state, went over a few headlines as well. It would be my pleasure just to read out a couple of verses of scripture, if I may. Isaiah 55:6. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, that he may have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. Mark 16:15, and he said to them, go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation. Now, I remind you, brothers, of the gospel I preached to you, which you received, in which you stand, and by which you are being saved, if you hold fast to the word I preached to you, unless you believed in vain. For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, that Christ died for our sins in accordance with the scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day in accordance with the scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. Romans 5:8, for God showed his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. We also read in Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Mark 1:15, and saying, the time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent and believe in the gospels. John 5:39, you search the scriptures because you think that in them you have eternal life, and it is they that bear witness about me, yet you refuse to come to me that you may live. John 3:17, for God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. And lastly, Mark 10:45, for even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Amen. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for the pleasure of your company. Thank you to our Cher and our Sherry as well for keeping this a great space. Thank you guys for this. I'll put the article in the description box there for you, coming from ukreloaded.com, Starmer's surveillance state. And then I'll put a post in and around exposing the Fabian society and the UK tyranny and the regime that we are living under. I pray that this finds you really well, guys. Thank you for enduring me and my faults. I'm under the same construction, but please also pray that I also might be more Christ-like in how I present and how it is I walk my life, as I pray for you. All right, guys, God bless you, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.